All right, we're going to go ahead and get started here. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for choosing to spend your valuable time with us. Today's webinar will cover what's new in wolfSSL 5.8.4, presented by Senior Software Developer Anthony Hugh. My name is Emma, and I will be moderating the webinar. All attendees will be in listen-only mode. If you have any questions, please use the Q&A box. After the presentation, Anthony will answer your questions. As always, our webinars are recorded and made available on our YouTube channel. If you'd like to stay updated with all the latest from wolfSSL, follow us on X, connect with us on LinkedIn, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Feel free to contact us via email at facts@wolfssl.com if you have any further questions. Before we dive into the technical presentation, I'd like to provide a brief overview of wolfSSL. Today, wolfSSL secures over 5 billion connections. We have more than 2,700 OEM customers and dozens of resellers. wolfSSL consists of over 60 dedicated employees, primarily engineers. This progress is, of course, supported by a strong partner network that we are very proud of. Since the beginning, our engineering team has developed several embedded security products, including WolfCrypt with DO178 support, a FIPS 140-3 certification and a FIPS Ready offering, MQTT up to the V5 specification, SSH v2, TPM 2.0, a secure bootloader known as WolfBoot, Java wrappers and JSSC support, and commercial support for curl, and our newest product offering, wolfHSM. These offerings are accompanied by thorough maintenance and support plans up to the 24/7 level. We also offer full service consulting. Now I'd like to turn it over to Anthony to discuss what's new in wolfSSL 5.8.4.
Hey, thanks, Emma. Yeah, so this is Anthony. Emma, can you hear me? You can hear me, right?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, so um, we're looking at the as Emma was talking about all the products that we have. I thought I'd show this slide. It's pretty amazing if you really think about that we're a team of approximately, like she said, 60 people, and mostly engineers, but we've managed to have a portfolio that's fairly large. So this is quite impressive, in my opinion. Whoops. I'm going to go backwards a bit and talk a bit about a bit more of an bit more introduction into wolfSSL and what we do. If you look at this, it kind of summarizes, where we are in terms of industries and verticals, and basically we're everywhere, just about anywhere and everywhere. So if you're doing anything with any kind of consumer electronics or industrial or um, anything, we're basically there already. Um, Now, if you look at this slide is really interesting. It talks a little bit about the progression and the evolution of wolfSSL, but also it talks very, very interestingly about today. We have over 2,700 OEM customers, right? So there are a lot of people depending on us and the work that we do, which is really which really hits home sometimes. When you look at that number at the bottom right, 5 billion connections. And that's a lowball estimate, really, because we know that over half of them are secured by, we're securing at least 2.5 billion connections with just one customer. So that's a very, very low estimate. Okay, and here are our products. Today we're going to be talking about the two large rectangles at the top left here, wolfSSL and wolfCrypt. And the reason why is because there's a new version out for them. So for that new version, for that new release, 5.8.4. Ooh, let me double check that. Yep, 5.8.4. For 5.8.4, we're going to talk a little bit about licensing changes, some new security fixes, new features, of course, maintenance fixes and general fixes. And so basically, everything I'm going to be talking about today, you can find in our change log. So fear not, if you have if you have colleagues that are not able to attend this, they can get all the information in the recording of this presentation that will show up on our YouTube channel, or just simply read our changelog that's included in wolfSSL's root directory. Okay, so let's start with licensing. So we are obviously licensed under open source. When you download us from our when you download wolfSSL, you can do it via our website in the download directory, in the download link given there, or via GitHub. Now, if you download from those locations and you download the tip of head, the tip of our master branch, you'll get code that is licensed under GPL v3. That's a fairly recent change. It used to be released under GPL v2, but we've moved to GPL v3. Now, in terms of GPL v2, we can still make exceptions for certain libraries to link against us, and these have been requested by these projects. So, like for example, MariaDB, OpenVPN, and FetchMail. For those particular libraries and a couple other ones, you can they're licensed under GPL v2. Always read the licensing file for exact details. Now, it's important to note that when you obtain wolfSSL under these terms via the download site or the GitHub site, we provide free pre-sale support. So always email us at support@wolfssl.com if you have any questions of a technical nature. But not only that, because we own the copyright of the source code, we are able to release the code, the exact same code, except with different boilerplate at the top. So we'll remove the GPL v3 boilerplate headers on the top of the source code and replace it with commercial terms. So how you get that is you email us at facts@wolfssl.com, and we kind of try and figure out a licensing arrangement via negotiations. And then once that's all set up, each time we do a release, we give you a source code bundle, which is delivered to you from your wolfSSL business director. Now, when you go under this licensing scheme, you'll get professional support from engineers just like me. I actually am doing support triage this week. And if you email support@wolfssl.com, I'll be the first one to reply to you. So go ahead and try that if you want. You can check out our support and maintenance plans, which are at that webpage that's displayed right there. And not only that, we also offer consulting services for integrations of new features. So if you find something that a wolfSSL doesn't support, for example, some sort of microcontroller, we can get that supported for you in no time. So yeah, let us know if there's something that you need or feature requests that you have, and we'll get that done for you. Obviously, also we're always willing to go on site and have some training sessions or answer any questions you might have. Okay, so let's get into it. So here are the security. Oh wait. So as it says, the security fixes we're about to talk about now. So here's a summary of them, and I'm not going to go into the details because anyone who does really want to go into the details is just going to look in the source code. So there's really no point in me going to deep detail here. So there's one, two. There's like 7. I can't even count them. Yeah, there's 8. There's 8 bullet points here because there are 8 vulnerabilities that were fixed in this release. So one was a mitigation against the against compiler introduced optimizations. And what happens when a compiler introduces optimizations is it can what is it called? Um, it can ruin your constant time implementation. And if you don't have constant time implementation, then suddenly you have timing attacks. So we have mitigations against that. Um, so we did find a memory leak in TLS 1.3 key share extension processing. And so that memory leak had potential to lead to a denial of service. So we fixed that up pretty quickly. Um, so there was a downgrade attack that moved from PSK with perfect forward secrecy, downgraded down to PSK without perfect forward secrecy. Um, for those that don't know, perfect forward secrecy just means that if a session key is um, if a session key is discovered by an attacker, then the next session will not be vulnerable because it will have a different session key. Um, if you don't have perfect forward secrecy, then you're going to have the same session key over and over again, in which case you are vulnerable in for future sessions. So we fix that. So the next one is an ECDSA P521 downgrade to P256 in TLS 1.3. And so this one is considered not that big a deal because P256 ECDSA at P256 is still considered fairly strong and today. Not against post-quantum attacks, but luckily we don't have a post-quantum computer yet, as far as we know. But P256 is still strong. But if someone asked for P521, then they did it for a reason. And so if someone downgrade, if you're able to downgrade to P256, then that's still not good. So we fixed that up really quick. Um, so some of the TLS 1.3 extensions, we weren't properly rejecting duplicates. And what can happen then is if you have like 1,000 duplicate extensions, that can cause a denial of service because you're just processing these extensions over and over and over and over again in this kind of almost not necessarily infinite loop, but a very long iteration of loops. And the next one was in Cha-Cha Poly 1305 decryption. There was an out of bounds memory access, and that was due to an possible integer overflow, but didn't really happen. But we just mitigated against that. The next one was a PSK, a binder verification fix up, and that was just to make it constant time. Um, and finally, there was a TLS 1.2 digest hash algorithm downgrade, and we prevent that now. So there was a lot of you can see there were a lot of things fixed up in terms of security. Um, so like I said, I didn't want to go into detail because anyone who wants to go into detail is going to do these things. They're going to go and check the change log, and they're looking to find a really detailed description of the issue, a CVE number where you can look us up and look and find the severity ratings. None of these are, by the way, none of these are of high severity. So it's there's not too much to worry about. It's okay. And finally, in there, you'll also find a GitHub pull request that fixes each one of these. So so you can see the list of vulnerabilities fixed, and the list has these elements in it: the detailed description, the CVE number, and the GitHub pull request, so that you can see the change that fixed the issue. Yeah, so we would like to give special thanks to these 4 individuals. They're the ones that reported these vulnerabilities, and and they're part of the wider open source community. And we really do appreciate it when the community steps up and lets us know about these issues and discloses them in a responsible manner. So they're, oh, I don't actually know how to pronounce the first gentleman's name, Adrian Sinal, I'm thinking. The next one is Jae-Hun Lee from Pohang University of Science and Technology, also known as POSTECH. The next one is Kyungmin Bae of Pohang University of the same institution. And okay, this one's gonna I might butcher this name. Luigino Camastra from Isle Research. Isle Research is an interesting entity. I think they're a security firm and they go in and you know basically help you out with your security posture. Okay, so let's look at some of the new features that came into this release. Um, so my personal favorite stuff is always the post-quantum stuff. So for MLChem and MLDSA, we have new APIs. We have the PKCS8 seed import support and improved key management. So for those that don't really understand the seed thing, you can save the private key as just a seed or as the actual format of the private key. Sorry, there's two formats for the private key. One includes the seed and one does not include the seed. So we've got support for both. Um, so wolfSSL, most people don't know. Most people, well, a lot of people do know this, but a lot of people don't. It can be built, wolfSSL can be built as a kernel module. And so we call that the wolfcrypt kernel module. And normally that's had support for the Linux kernel, but now we've added support for the FreeBSD kernel. So that's kind of cool. We love FreeBSD. It's a great project. So for PKCS7 and CMS, we've expanded decoding capabilities and additional callbacks. Many people don't know that we have a Rust wrapper, but we do now. And it's got expanded algorithm coverage. So this is a wolfcrypt as well as wolfSSL Rust wrapper. By the way, there are actually multiple Rust wrappers out there for wolfSSL. ExpressVPN did one called, and it's a Rust crate. Hardware platform updates. So for STM32 and the PSOC 6, we've made several improvements. And we're now supporting hardware offload of STM32U5 secure AES peripheral support. And we've got better curl integration now. We've always had curl, we've always supported curl. But this time you can build curl with a smaller subset of features. And this is great for building a smaller curl image in case you're building on an embedded Linux system or something like that. Okay, so this is where it gets a little bit more tedious. These are maintenance fixes. So we've got a lot of testing going on. You've heard this over and over again in all of our webinars. wolfSSL is the best tested TLS library out there, and we stand by that. Not just this release, but every release always has massive amounts of testing added to it. So we've got improvements to our TLS 1.3 and TLS 1.2 protocol testing. We've got libSSH2 integration testing. We do better testing on Arduino, ESP, both IDF and 32. We got Renaissance FSP and RA testing. And our SGX testing is online now. Now, when we say this, it's basic. Part of it is that we have these devices hooked up in our testing rig up in Montana. Our Bozeman office holds most of our hardware testing. We've also improved our nightly workflows. So Not only do we test on every pull request, but we also test nightly as well as weekly. And this particular release, we really beefed up our nightly workflows. We've got several documentation updates now. Um, and this is good. This is something that where you'll if you look at the pull requests in the change log, you'll see that there's just a multitude of documentation fix-ups. That was a big focus for this particular release. We've improved our AES hardware offloading functionalities, and we're probably going to have a couple more improvements of that in the near future. Um, and build system refinements. This is a big one for me because I didn't do any of these, but I really appreciate them. So for auto tools, that's obviously when you use /configure. We've beefed up some of the flags there. I just mentioned the enable curl equals tiny, for example. Um, and we've got Debian packaging now. I think we always did have that, but it's definitely improved. Um, oh yeah, RISC-V. We've got it, and we've got RISC-V assembly optimizations and introspection. So that adds to our benchmarking. So if anyone here has a RISC-V device, go ahead and build for it, and make sure to turn on assembly and see if you notice any speed improvements. Same goes for PPC 32. Okay, and so in general, we've got ED 25519 raw public key support and within the C# wrapper. So if you're on Windows or you're using Mono on Linux, you'll be able to have more features with ED 25519. Within wolfSSL, we have something called the sniffer, and that helps with understanding what's going on the network. And there's stability fixes and X509 improvements and certificate chain improvements. DTLS has some interesting changes as well. We have better replay protections against it, as well as cookie handling. So with kernel mode, I can tell you this release, a lot of kernel module and kernel mode fix-ups that were related to FIPS 140-3 were done, as well as position independent executable code. And this is all for FIPS 140-3 in the kernel. So if you are doing kind of like full disk encryption, or you're doing kind of any kind of network VPN kind of stuff, all of that is always done in the kernel. If you have FIPS 140-3 requirements, and you're going to need, kernel mode, you're going to need our kernel module so that you can have FIPS 140-3 certification in the kernel. There were more post-quantum MLChem and MLDSA safety fixes. And and part of our testing is using static analysis tools. So, we got a lot of reports from other people, not just our static analysis tools, but external people, customers and academics were also using static analyzers on our code. And they were generous enough to give us the results of those. So we got a lot of fix-ups there as well. Okay, and that was just I know it was a very brief summary of what's going on with this particular release, but I hope it was helpful to everybody in the crowd here. And I'm ready to take any questions. Emma, do we have any questions?
Yes, it looks like we have two. I noticed you have a GPL v3, but exceptions to allow for GPL v2 for some projects. How do I get an exception for my project?
So That's a great question, and it's great that I already have the answer, and it's right in front of all of us. You can see that there is an email address there called licensing@wolfSSL.com. Um, if you want an exception to get to GPL V2, that's fine. Just give us an email. We'll set up a meeting and just we'll figure it out. It's not a big deal. So just send us an email and we'll get you taken care of.
Wonderful. There were a lot of security fixes. Do you have an explanation for that?
Ah, yeah, it was. I couldn't even when I was on that slide, I couldn't even count them. I said there were seven, but there were actually eight. Um, And the explanation is that we had a fairly long window between the previous release and this one. So it was a 4 month window. And what that means is it basically gave researchers and other people out there more time. And when you have more time, you find more bugs, I guess. Sorry, security issues, not bugs. But also another reason is that we've actually seen an uptick in the kinds of tools that are used to discover, well, an uptick in the quality and also the types of tools that are used to find these vulnerabilities. I think I wouldn't say that that it's perfect, but I'm pretty sure that AI has begun to play a larger role in finding these vulnerabilities. And when you're using AI, it's everything's accelerated, so there's a lot more. So it's not just like there's human eyeballs on it. There's also artificial intelligence eyeballs on the code. And with more eyeballs, more things get found. So we are very thankful for that.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Anthony, for hosting an informative webinar. Thanks to everyone for joining. You can keep up with our upcoming events, meet our team in person, read our blog posts, and get the latest wolfSSL updates by following us on X, connecting with us on LinkedIn, and subscribing to our YouTube channel. If you have any questions, please reach out to us at facts@wolfssl.com. Thank you again, and we look forward to seeing you on January 7th for our webinar on getting started with wolfSSL Part 1. Thank you all.